Hello, good people, and welcome to Pand Dead Center. My name is Kevin, and today we're going to talk about tone row, how to use tone row to compose. Now, usually this technique is associated with atonal music, but it doesn't have to be. And today we're going to use tone row in popular music. We're just going to write a simple little horn line using tone row. So, let's get started. Okay, so here we have a backing track. It's just a Wurlitzer, a bass guitar, and some drums. The Wurlitzer comes from the Velvet VST. The bass guitar is the one that we all have, the ample light bass, the free one. The drums are addictive drums. I just put it on one track, and I didn't compose this. It's just one of the MIDIs that come with it, or maybe one that I bought separately. Good enough for our purposes. Altogether, it sounds like this. Okay, and that needs a melody, and today that's what we're doing. We're going to add a melody to this on horns using tone row. So the first thing we need to do is make our tone row, decide which notes we're going to be using. Now, this is tonal music. We're not doing atonal serialism. We're doing this within the field of pop music. I would recommend beginning with the tonic note, which in our case is B flat. Once you know what you're doing, you can start wherever you want, but for now, start with the tonic. Later, you can move on to other notes of the triad, and later still, you can start wherever you want when you kind of get a better feel for things. But for now, let's start with the tonic. So that's a B flat for us. Then we're going down to, I'm going to do it in A flat. So we're moving by step, not by a skip. But now I would like to introduce a skip. Now, the important thing is that we have a mixture of steps and skips. We really want to have both. If we only have steps, it's going to have a certain sound, then it's going to be very limiting. If we only have skips, same thing. It's going to be a different sound, but we're going to be a bit limited by it. So the important thing here is that we have a mixture. So we have a B flat, an A flat, a D flat. I'm going to go up to an E flat. Now, some people will say that in a tone row, you cannot repeat a note that has already been used. Since we're not following tone row rules, for atonal music, that makes sense because you don't want to favor any specific note. But, we're doing pop music here. So I'm actually going to repeat that D flat. So now we have step. So we only have one skip, which is between the second and the third note. So let's do another skip. Let's go up to, say, an F. And then let's do a bigger skip, which is down to a C. Now that's actually, we have a fourth here and we have a fourth here. So our biggest skip is a fourth, and we have two of these. Now I could go on. We could make this as long as we want, but let's count how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now hold that thought. Remember that we have 7 because this is going to be an important thing later. Now that we have this, we're going to put it aside, and we're going to do something else, and then we're going to come back to it. But for now, put it aside. Just remember that we have a tone row of 7 notes because the number is going to be important. Okay, now we're just going to compose a little rhythm. This is a funky number, so I think starting with 16th notes would be really good. Okay, now I haven't used this program too much. I've used it a little bit, but I may make some mistakes as I go along. Okay, now I am just making this rhythm up. 8th note there, and then rest. Okay, and then let's keep going. I think it's a good thing every now and then to, the second beat here is this figure, and we kind of repeat it over here. I think that's kind of a good thing to do. And an 8th note, and then we'll end it there, giving there's going to be a horn line, I think, so let's give the players a little room to breathe there. Now, let's count how many notes we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28,
29, 30, 31. Okay. We had 7 notes. The important thing is that when we write the rhythm, we do not have 7 notes of rhythm, or 14 or 21. Do not make the number of notes and the numbers of rhythm a multiple or a divisor of each one. You want to keep these differently. Okay, so now we have our notes and we have our rhythm. So now we're going to put this all together. Now let me say, normally I would do this on paper. I'm just doing it here for demonstration purposes. So our first note is a B flat going down to an A flat. Now let's match this up with the rhythm that we have here. We're going to begin on the second half of the first beat. So we need to enter an 8th rest. Okay, good. It just did that. We got a B flat down to an A flat. Okay, and then we have a D flat and an E. The rhythm is going to be a 16th note, then an 8th note. Okay, so there's our 16th. There's our 8th note, and then the next one I know was so then we have another 16th note down to an 8th note, and these are going to be D flat and an F. Okay, and then our next note is actually going to be, our last note is a C, and then this is a 16th note, and it is a C. Okay, now we have an issue because we finished our tone row. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have our 7 notes. So what do we do now? Well, simple. We just go back. So we are now here at the end. We just go back over here. Now the important thing, and I did it, is that you need to be aware that when you get here, you're going to go back here. So you wouldn't want to put a funny note at the end. You want a note that kind of goes back into the first note. So ending with, like, I don't know, a G flat might be a little, nothing is really too funny here, but I think a G flat might be a little bit funny. But we end with a C. Now a C is going to go very nice to a B flat. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just going to do 4 16th notes. That makes it easy for me to enter. So we just repeat, and now we don't have to look back here because we have it all over here. So now we go down to the A flat, D flat, and then the E flat. All right. Then we have an 8th. Then we go to the next beat, and it's that syncopated da 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 That's a D flat, F, and then we have a 16th note, which is a C. 1, 2, B flat again. We are stopping this in the middle of the row. That is perfectly fine. But remember, we had 7 notes, and we did not have 7 notes of rhythm. You can see why, right? If we had 7 notes of rhythm, it would just be that same 7-note figure repeating over and over again. And I think the point of this is that it's not the same 7-note repeating over and over again. It's offset. The number of notes and the number of rhythmic events do not match up, and that gives us the variety that we are seeking. Okay, and now I'm going to enter this figure that we have now into the score that into the music that you've already heard, the background track. Now I could export this and just load it in there, but that's going to be a very highly quantized step time entered melody, and I really don't want that. So I'm going to do this live. This is a pretty difficult rhythm, so I'm not going to do it on camera. So I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm just going to enter this. I'm going to orchestrate it a little bit. I'm going to put some extra horns in here. And I'll be back with the finished product in a minute.
Hands dead center.
Okay, I've taken that line and I've distributed it to trumpet and alto sax in unison, and trombone playing an octave lower. I have added some articulations, as you see the key switches down there. You can ignore those. If the rhythm looks a little bit different, that could be the way that Cakewalk is rendering it. But in a few cases, I have extended the notes so that the full articulation would sound. I did this all by hand, although I did go in and edit some of them manually, especially like when one note was still hitting, when I hit the next note, they were overlapping. I had to cut that out. And I've added some EQ and compression, and now the whole thing sounds, well, not the whole thing, but the first 4 bars sound like this. Added some melodyne on the last note, just the last note, because it has that fall, but the instruments fall at different lengths, and it didn't sound very good that they were all ending at different times, so I put some vocal line on that. Okay, that's what we've got here, and I think it sounds pretty good, and I could continue this if I wanted to. I could change the row, I could do other things with it, I could just keep going with the same notes that we had, all kinds of things I can do here. Couple things I should have pointed out earlier is that you are not tied to these octaves, so if you wanted to take this F and go down to an F, you can certainly do that. You can also repeat as you wish. So we have an E flat, D flat, F, C, B. I could start with the B here. I mean, once you can repeat a note. Now the rule is, and you don't have to follow the rule, but once you hit a note, you can stay on that for as long as you want to. You can keep repeating it if you want to. I didn't do it. I don't think I needed to do it in this case. I thought it works pretty well as it is, but you can always change the octave, and you can repeat any note that you wish to. And I think overall this sounds pretty good. Anyway, this is something that you can use in your music. I use it sometimes. It doesn't have to be for fast horn lines, so that is usually where I tend to use it. But it's your music. Do what you want with it. This should just be to get you started. Now, just because you're using the tone row doesn't mean you have to follow all the rules. If you wanted to change this E flat to an F or a G natural or an A natural or a B, whatever you wanted to do, it's your music. Of course, do what you want to do with it. This should just be a way to get you started, not the be-all and end-all of composing in serial with serialism. Do what you want, make it sound good, but I think this is a good way to get you started, especially when you want something that doesn't sound like what your fingers normally come up with, because all of our fingers have certain habits, and you tend to play the same things over and over again. This is a good way to get you out of those habits and come up with something that you wouldn't have come up with otherwise. Okay, hope you enjoy this technique. Hope you use it. Please post in the comments below, what did you do with it? Post a link. Let me hear it. I would love to hear what you've done with this. But until next time, my friends, this has been a little example of composing with tone rows, and I will see you next time.